Okay, so let me get this straight. The same Pentagon that's failed 8 audits in a row, 8, just burned through 25 billion taxpayer dollars in 60 days. And the guy in charge can't give a single breakdown of where it went. So at this April 29th hearing, Representative Maggie Goodlander walks in with receipts and absolutely dismantles Hegseth. Watch what happens when his own words from 2016 come back to bite him. Hit subscribe before this clip. You'll want the breakdown after.
I want to thank our witnesses for being here today, and I want to begin by getting right to it, since my time is limited, on this $1.5 trillion budget request. Mr. Hegseth, you testified last year and you testified again today that you will be accountable for every American taxpayer dollar that comes to the department, where it goes and why. That's really important since, as it's been pointed out, the department has failed 8 audits. The department remains on GAO's high-risk list. The Inspector General just last year alone identified billions of dollars that could have been put to better use, and in questioned costs, that is spending that raised red flags. So this is a crisis right now in accountability of where the dollars of the American taxpayers who are in the middle of a cost crisis, where this money is going. I want to ask about your war in Iran. And Mr. Hurst, you testified earlier today that $25 billion has been spent to date. I just want to clarify that that is money, that taxpayer dollars that have been spent already in this war.
$25 reflects the costs of the war, right? So we've already spent the dollars on munitions and things like that. So we're factoring in cost of munitions expended into that total.
So how much of that has gone towards munitions? Does that include the munitions that have been spent to date?
Yeah, that reflects the munitions that have been spent to date and other operational costs.
Can you give us a breakdown of what those costs are?
We'll work to get you guys a product that has a detailed breakdown of those costs.
Yeah, my concern here is, Mr. Hegseth, you've testified repeatedly that you're going to be accountable for each and every American taxpayer dollar that you spend, that you're going to be accountable for the rationale. Here we are 60 days in to your war of choice in Iran, and you can't give us an answer on a breakdown of the basic breakdown of American taxpayer dollars that have been spent in your war of choice? That's a question for Mr. Hurst. Right now, as you sit here now, you cannot...
We're happy to give you a breakdown. We'll provide you a product after this hearing.
Well, I would love for you to give us this breakdown now and explain to us, was this unbudgeted costs, or was this something the department planned for in advance, since you were appropriated $1 trillion last year?
The department deals with contingency operations all the time within its normal budget.
So this was not budgeted for. My point here is, you know, and General Kane, you've testified to this. We all understand, for you to do your jobs, you need Congress to pass budgets. For us to do our jobs, we need you to give us the details and to be accountable to American taxpayers. And so I got to say, it's an extraordinary dereliction that as you sit here, you cannot account for billions of dollars that have already been spent.
You're briefed on munitions every week. You and your entire staff have every.
I'm asking
just so the American public know, it's
Mr.
not as if you
Hegseth,
don't have munitions levels.
Mr.
You do
Hegseth,
from us every single week,
Mr.
so you know
Hegseth,
exactly the numbers you're talking
Mr. Hegseth,
about.
you have testified that American taxpayers need to know where their dollars are going. And as you sit here today, you can't provide us with a basic answer to the most simple question that you should be able to answer to each and every American
You're
taxpayer.
asking a question to an answer with an answer you already have.
No, I'm asking you for a breakdown where you said you will be accountable for every taxpayer dollar. You cannot tell us where any of the $25 billion in taxpayer funds that have gone to fund your war of choice in Iran. And I look forward to getting details from our witnesses after this hearing, because the American taxpayers need to know. Mr. Hegseth, can I ask you, do you know what the average cost of a gallon of gas was in this country on February 28th?
Well, it depends on where you live. If you live in California, it's $8.
$2.83. Do you know what the average cost of a gallon of gas is today?
Much higher in California.
$4.23. I got to say, Mr. Hegseth, you said you've got a crack economic team that's looking at the impacts of this war on the American taxpayer, and you can't answer this basic question, that should shock the conscience of every American. General Kane, I want to come back to something, a really important principle, and my time is limited. You testified to an important and bedrock principle of American law, that our service members follow lawful orders and lawful orders only. Is that right? Do you agree with the statement, quote, "The military won't follow unlawful orders"?
I do.
Mr. Hegseth, do you agree with that statement?
I do, but understand what you're insinuating at a partisan point.
I'm not. I'm actually quoting you directly, Mr. Hegseth, from April 12th, 2016. And I appreciate that on the record, you've clarified this important principle of American law.
All right, so let's actually break down what you just heard. The Department of Defense has failed 8 straight audits. 8. Since 2018, every single year, they cannot pass a basic financial audit. They've been on the GAO high-risk list for waste and mismanagement since 1995. That's 30 years. And Hegseth just sat there and told her, with a straight face, that he'd be accountable for every taxpayer dollar. Truly shocking stuff. And here's what this article is laying out. While Republicans spent years preaching fiscal responsibility, this Pentagon is asking for $1.5 trillion, a 42% budget increase, while failing every audit. The fiscal year 2025 review found 26 material weaknesses, $25 billion already gone in Iran. And the man running it couldn't even tell you what a gallon of gas costs. They want to gut SNAP and Medicaid, but write blank checks for war. That's the whole game. And here's where the math gets really uncomfortable. $25 billion. That's the number acting Pentagon Comptroller Jules Hurst just confirmed on the record. 60 days into Operation Epic Fury, and that's the official tally. Now the kicker. When Goodlander asks for a basic breakdown, where did it go? Munitions, fuel, operations. The answer is, we'll get back to you. We'll send a product. 60 days in, and they haven't even done the math themselves. And it gets worse. Senators King, Duckworth, and Blumenthal all said publicly that the $25 billion figure is, quote, lowballing it. A Harvard analyst projected the real number could hit $1 trillion. The Pentagon's own pattern is clear. In March, they told Congress the war cost $11.3 billion in just the first 6 days. So either the spending dropped off a cliff, or that $25 billion number is fiction. Either way, the receipts don't add up. And here's the part that should make every taxpayer's blood boil. When Goodlander pushes Hurst on whether this war was budgeted, his answer is, the department deals with contingency operations all the time within its normal budget. Translation: we just take it from somewhere else. Imagine telling your spouse you spent $25,000, but you'll get back to them on what it was. That's what's happening with your tax dollars. 60 days in, and the answer is, it's a contingency. This breakdown nails it. The hearing was a masterclass in deflection. 8 failed audits, $25 billion unaccounted for. And the second Goodlander pushes, Hegseth calls it a partisan attack. He couldn't tell her the average price of a gallon of gas. He couldn't break down where the money went. He could only insult the people asking. This is the guy whose job is overseeing $1.5 trillion of your money. And his answer to basic accountability questions is, you're being partisan. That's not leadership. Now, watch this exchange again, because it's wild. Goodlander asks, do you know what gas cost on February 28th? $2.83. Today, $4.23. That's a 49% jump in 60 days. Why? Because Iran shut the Strait of Hormuz the moment Operation Epic Fury kicked off. And the Secretary of Defense, the guy literally running the war that caused this, says it depends on where you live. It's $8 in California. Read the room, Pete. And this is where Democratic lawmakers actually did the job. Goodlander, Adam Smith, Seth Moulton, Jason Crow. They all walked in with documented questions about where the money went, what the strategy is, what the exit plan looks like. Republicans on that committee spent their time defending the budget. Democrats spent their time defending you, the taxpayer. That's the contrast. One side rubber stamps $1.5 trillion. The other side actually demands receipts. That's not partisan. That's oversight. And then the kill shot. Goodlander asks Hegseth, "Do you agree the military won't follow unlawful orders?" He says, "I do, but you're being partisan." And she hits him with, "I'm actually quoting you directly, Mr. Hegseth." From April 12th, 2016, the room goes silent, because that's his own quote. Liberty Forum of Silicon Valley. He said it about Obama. Now he's calling it partisan when it's about Trump. So here's the line. The Pentagon failed 8 audits. They burned $25 billion in 60 days with no breakdown. The war secretary can't tell you the price of gas. And he just got caught calling his own words a partisan attack. That's not accountability. That's a confession with a gavel. If this helped you see what's actually going on, hit the like, subscribe, share it with someone who needs the full picture. I'm Donald Taylor. I'll see you in the next one.